We run 2,000 breeding ewes here at Sauckland, lambing outdoors. We have farms all around us. We have no sure way of knowing that our biosecurity is 100%. So there's always that threat that if somebody else coming on with sheep, a neighbouring farm or an escapee, that could then spread into our own flock and cause an outbreak in scab.
Well, I think in general, sheep scab is a huge problem, has potential to be a huge problem. And I think, from the monitor farm perspective here, we're really keen to get involved with Moredun when we heard some of the research work they're doing. So I think in general across the country, it still is a big problem, and it's something that we want to try and make sure that we can control, and also want to be in a position where we can identify flocks that have it as quickly as possible.
You're constantly living in fear of an outbreak, and there's got to be a better way of managing it than there has been over the last wee while, which is a costly and exercise, but also a bit of an unknown.
So sheep scab is caused by a small parasitic mite that infests the skin of sheep. And in doing so, it causes a lesion on the skin, and that's incredibly itchy. And that causes the sheep to rub up against anything that they can find, from fence posts to barbed wire, to alleviate that intense itching that comes with the disease. As well as being very irritating, of course, to the animals, it also has a strong welfare impact. So as the disease progresses, it becomes the only thing that the animal can occupy their time with. And that, of course, then means that they can have reduced food intake. They can suffer from dehydration as well, mostly because they won't drink water, but also the lesion takes a lot of resources from the animal also.
The parasite not only spreads quickly, there have been recent reports of mite resistance to the acaricidal treatments used to control scab, potentially rendering wholesale treatment of flocks ineffective.
Moredun's really got involved trying to develop a diagnostic test for sheep scab, and that's really just to improve the way that we detect the disease. So at the moment, the disease is detected by taking a skin scraping from a lesional area and then trying to identify the mite under the microscope. But that can be quite challenging because many sheep won't have any obvious signs of scab, and you might not actually be able to find a lesion from which to take a skin scraping. So the sensitivity of that technique can be very low, and that's why we're pursuing a blood test instead, to give us greater sensitivity of testing.
A lot of the research took place on mull, with Moredun scientists working alongside local vets and farmers.
The trial or pilot in mull was before the test went commercial, and it relied on bloods being taken and analysed at the laboratory. We've now moved into a sort of different world where Moredun have leapt forward really and now have a pen side test which is now under trial. This would transform things completely. It would mean that rather than waiting days for a result, if tups or new sheep came on farm or hogs came back to the farm or croft, they could immediately be screened and you'd get an immediate answer, and then you could either target treatment or you could avoid treatment and avoid the cost of it. That's a fantastic sort of place to be, and it's an important place to be as well in protecting the efficacy of our drugs, because we Moredun have found resistance in scab mites to important injectables we use. If we overuse these drugs, we're going to lose them, and therefore this test is a way of out of that problem.
The development of a pen-side blood test for sheep scab is a real game changer for the sheep industry.
It's obviously far more cost effective if you do the effective quarantine, use a blood test at the very beginning, work out whether that animal is actually infested or not, treat if necessary, and if not, you can release that animal being confident that you know it's not infested and it's not going to present a risk to the rest of your flock.
At Sauckland Farm, manager Peter Eccles is eagerly awaiting the sheep scab results for some new tups that have just arrived on the farm.
So that's 5 minutes since we took those blood samples. So we've got the results here for the sheep scab test, and you can see that both of these are clearly negative, the two tups.
Here,
So you can see there's no red dot in the middle, which is would indicate that we'd found the antibodies against the sheep scab mite. So these are clearly negative test results.
Excellent. So I can run these tups with the ewes now?
Yep, exactly.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.